Yo, good morning. Sorry, just getting things set up. I'll be on here in just a second. Alright, everybody hear me okay? How about a thumbs up or a 1 in the chat if you can hear me just fine. Alright, awesome. Good morning. Trader Peter, Wipeout, Bianco, Kay, welcome in. Yeah, I had to change things up this morning and stream on YouTube. Having some issues with Discord this morning. I'll have to see what's going on with that and get in touch with support. Let you guys know about that later. But keep things rolling. We're here on YouTube. Imagine your model's so good they have to ban you on YouTube or on Discord. We'll see what happens with that. All right. So let's see what happened with price overnight. I guess we can start there. Where's NQ? Let me put NQ on the right here. So obviously we had the open down here. We had this nice little run up, sweeping out the open, and then continuing to run up. I believe Sniper, took his trade in here somewhere. Once this was swept and continued to displace and failed to manipulate this. He took a long here last night, if you watched his stream. And of course we have a sweep of Asia highs here on NQ. Here from London. So I took a short last night, overnight, down to previous day low here, which just got hit earlier. This is previous day low here. And I'm still holding some runners down to this weekly fair value gap, just above it right here, at 49.046 on YM. So we'll see what happens here if this comes back up, sweeps out some of these highs here, wants to sweep out London high and then run again. We'll see what happens, but Not really expecting a whole lot for the AM session. As you can see, we've got sequential SMT up here. We got some hidden sequential SMT down here at the lows, which just means that the bodies have closed above the closure of the bodies from the previous quarter. That's what hidden SMT is. So it's just using the bodies rather than the wicks. But all of the assets have traded below London low, so at this point I wouldn't really expect a reversal here. I would more so expect continuation back down, because I want this weekly gap to be tagged for FOMC. But for this AM, expecting a lot of chop as well. So we'll see what we get. Drop down to the 90-minute cycle here. Yeah, it's possible we get a 90-minute cycle here. Sweep out some of these highs, possibly even come back, tag the TCISD. And then we see our drop here for the morning, but we could also just mostly chop around today till FOMC, because this one's going to be a big one. I don't think they're going to cut rates today, but we'll have to wait and see what they do. I wouldn't expect them to, not with oil skyrocketing and all the war stuff going on. We're sitting just below all-time highs, so I would doubt they would do that. If we drop out to the weekly cycle here, we're currently forming that right now. So we took out previous day low here, two-stage here in Q. So we're just waiting to see what happens here. I don't expect this to hold really, but it could, and this is where we take off from, but it doesn't seem likely. It seems more likely that we would invalidate this, drop lower into this weekly gap. And if we look at daily chart, we're still respecting this FVG here, but we'll see what happens today. But I would really prefer us to drop down lower into this gap here and then make our way back out. That's kind of my plan for today. While in Q stays within this gap, maybe hits this order block one more time and then bounces back up. But we'll have to wait and see how FOMC goes. Question in the chat: how would you define hidden sequential SMT? So hidden sequential SMT is an SMT, right? Sequential SMT, not between the wicks, but between the body closures. So if I drop back down to the 15-minute, you'll notice we have the wick piercing through the previous quarter low. So there's no regular sequential SMT. But if you look at where the body closures were, the lowest body closure is here. And the lowest body closure is up here. And the lowest body closure would be this candle here, this black one. Because this is the start of the new quarter, this candle, so it'd be this candle's closure is the lowest in this quarter. And we have a closure below, right here. So that creates your hidden. And you can really see it if you turn off the wicks. It makes it really easy to spot. Or if you have the indicator right. Now you can see. So that's a hidden sequential SMT. I don't really use those all too often, just because I tend to find them a little bit less reliable. I'd rather have my regular sequential SMT. It shows a lot more strength in the market for when you have those. So because another asset failed to take the low, so or failed to take the high if you're looking at it from the other perspective. I'm not sure how long the delay here is on YouTube, so hopefully it's not too bad. I appreciate you guys tuning in for the first live stream here on YouTube. We're planning to do this in the Discord this morning, but Discord said otherwise today, so we'll have to figure that out later. Jay, if you guys got questions, go ahead and drop them in the chat, and we'll try to cover some of them before we have the open here in about another 10 minutes or so. I'm going to scoot this back a little bit. But yeah, this is looking nice right here to run us up above the defining range here. So my plan going into the morning would be, here's our previous quarter high, that's what this line is. Run right up there, manipulate the defining range right here. Right, that's indicated by the blue dotted line. Sweep us back down, tag TCISD, drop us lower. That's my plan for this morning. We could just retag this TCISD. It might even want to run London highs. We'll just have to wait and see. But I wouldn't want it to go too far higher. But I would expect to see the manipulation here. If we are still short, manipulation would have to be, for me, then this box from 0 to 1.5 standard deviations. Are you planning regular streams? Yeah, so I stream usually Tuesday and Wednesday inside the Discord, and we'll have to see about that here. Having some Discord issues right now, but depending on what Discord says and how that works out, well, I may just stream on YouTube then. We'll see. But typically I stream 2 days a week. I stream Tuesday and Wednesday, or at least try to, every week consistently, because those are your 2 highest probability days to catch the weekly expansion. That's most likely when your weekly sequential SMT is going to be put in. You'll see that on your hourly chart. Let's see. If we go back to Tuesday or Wednesday of last week, go to NQ here. I don't know if you can still see it or not. Yeah, you'll see Tuesday. Put in the sequential SMT last week, and that's where we rode up higher. So Tuesday or Wednesday is likely when you'll see your weekly sequential SMT to catch the entire weekly range. So if you're swing trading for the week, these are your 2 most important days, Tuesday and Wednesday. Just a little extra sauce out there for you. So that's why I like to stream Tuesday, Wednesdays. I'm planning a stream this Thursday with Sniper. I'm not sure how I'm going to join that now, but we'll try to figure that out before tomorrow. That's tomorrow, yeah, today's Wednesday, so that's tomorrow. That's for the Asia session. So we'll see how that works out. I may or may not be able to join in with them. Next question down here. But other than that, yeah, I like to eventually start streaming every day once we build up an audience for it. So we'll see how that goes. But if I start streaming on YouTube, I'll definitely let everybody know. With the indicator, when we have sequential SMT in the highs and lows, you trust it by the bias or don't approach in that conditions? That's a great question, Wipeout. And you'll notice a lot of times, and there's one here on screen where you can see, right? When we have a sequential SMT on both sides of the market, what usually happens with that period or that quarter? Chop, right? So most likely the market accumulates. in that period. That's the most common response whenever you have a sequential SMT on both sides. Another thing that can happen is that sequential SMT gets broken and one side just completely free falls, right? So, and fails. And what I do in that case, so let's say, like, for example, this one here, right? We have this weekly SMT here. We have a weekly SMT down here. Wait for one of these sides to break and then catch a continuation on a lower time frame. So if you're on the hourly for the weekly cycle, you drop down to the daily cycle and you would wait for a daily sequential SMT on your 6-hour candles, and then you would catch the continuation lower. Kind of like I did right here. Yeah, it creates indecision in the markets. Lower probability for sure, yes. So I typically tend to stay away when we have sequential SMT on both sides, unless I get a sequential SMT with some sort of high impact event like the 9:30 open, the 10 a.m. candle, or a news release, right? Because those will generally tell you which way the market is going to go. So if that event creates a sequential SMT, then likely the results of that will head you in the right direction. All right, let me get these resized so y'all can see better here. And what did Jack put in here? Want NQ to create 90-minute at the highs to then take out the equal lows. You know that NQ about to already take out the equal lows. Yeah, I just dropped. I don't know if there's some kind of tweet that just came out. Also wouldn't surprise me unless we got a microcycle up here, but it's too early for that. Yeah, the microcycle doesn't begin until 9:23, so I'm going to get rid of these drawings here so that we can focus on what price is doing here. But yeah, I'd love to see a drop here down to this. Not just because I'm still holding runners in this trade, but just because I'd really like to see that weekly gap tagged, which is sitting right here. So that's what I'm watching to get tagged, and then FOMC to jump us right out of there. And then Thursday we can catch some great trades if we go long from there. So at this point, I wouldn't want to see a daily cycle get put in here, just because that would put us up at the higher end of the manipulation area here from 0 to 1.5. I would more so expect a 90-minute to continue this with London holding the high. So we don't always get what we want, and especially in FOMC. So definitely trade carefully this morning. I'm not trading at all. I'm just holding this position here to see if I can get my runner down to here or somewhere in here, and I'll partial out. But that's why I'm not even logged in here. So I don't want to risk taking any trades here. Tweets coming out. Are they? That would make sense why we have this drop. Thank goodness I'm not banned from Twitter. Yeah, oil blockade. Nice. So a little bit of extra intermarket knowledge. The reason we're seeing indices drop, right, is because oil, where's oil at? Here we go. Oil is pumping, right? So as oil begins to rise in price, you begin to see, go to the hourly chart. So as oil begins to rise in price, right, what typically happens is risk starts coming off the table in indices. So that's why you start to see this dump. So as soon as we start seeing this pump up, we start seeing this move down on indices. So they kind of move in tandem a lot. And when oil consolidates, that's when the market over here will climb, because more money shifts and flows into indices. So a lot of times too, another little piece of sauce, when you see indices just chopping around, consolidating, right? A lot of times you'll see very clean price action on Forex. And you'll just see it flying or shorting, depending on which way the market needs to go. So when you see consolidating conditions here, or vice versa, consolidating conditions on Euro or GBP, some of the major foreign exchange currencies, if one of those is consolidating, you should see cleaner price action on the other, and vice versa. We got 2.5 minutes to the open here. So let's switch back here, put YM on the right. And Q on the left here. So what I'm expecting here is one of these assets to manipulate the high here and then sweep us down lower. What's he guys doing? Yeah, saucy. And if you guys are wondering which indicators I'm using here to plot out the defining range, my quarter dividers, I manually mark out the TCISD myself, but I use this app or this indicator here for the sequential SMT and defining range, CD and KA underscore QT underscore CX. And I use Triad Quarterly Theory Profiler Public for my dividers, just to split it up into two different indicators. And those are both free. So here's the open, a nice move up. So this likely created a microcycle here, and we're going to get a dump out of that probably. Let's see. No, it didn't create a microcycle. Just tag the fair value gap and push down. But yeah, I would hope for a nice dump here. So I don't like that YM is just consolidating here, and we have the huge move on NQ, but that's life for you, because NQ did set in the high over here, so it makes sense that now we have a strength switch and it becomes the weaker. Since this puts in the low, it makes sense that this becomes a little stronger, but even still I would like to see a nice push down here. Yeah, this could easily hit previous day low for NQ, and that's some nice strength over here, so that should hit. Yeah, that's really nice flush. So you notice we're getting some retracement. Where at 2 to 2.5 standard deviations here. So this is an area that we typically see some bounce back. If we close past this, here's some more sauce for you. If we close past this, then likely price will use this or a PD array created within here to use as resistance to continue down lower. So it's a nice little level to mark out on your chart to see how price reacts. I'm going to go ahead and take a partial over here just because we should do that. Alright, very nice. So the move we expected to happen, I just don't think we got any sequential SMT here for this drop unless it came earlier right here. No. Nothing, just a straight drop off. Yeah, everything makes so much more sense as I stumble upon your content and teachings. I still struggle with execution, but thanks so much for sharing all this. Yeah, man, definitely. You're welcome. Yeah, this has really made a difference for me, how to view price, because it gives you so much more clear and validation points, right? Because before, you know, you'd look at highs, lows, just randomly or fair value gaps, but you never knew which one to pick. Because these are all time-based, it makes it so much easier to pick. Like if price comes up above here, I'm no longer short, I'm going to be long, right? Just as an example. Or gives me a clear area where price will manipulate, especially with this defining range. Makes it very mechanical. So easy to view price, and then you just apply ICT PD arrays, and yeah. Yes, I believe it should be. I can't guarantee that because this is my first time live streaming on YouTube, but I'm hoping the live will be available later. It's supposed to be saving it, so we'll see. I'll post it later if it does. If not, I'll definitely figure out for the future how to do that. And I'll post the screenshot of my executions here later on in Twitter when I'm able to do that. Alright, so we've also hit the 2 to 2.5 on our 90-minute cycle here. We're well extending down into the fourth standard deviation here, so I'd like to see some follow through here. There's really nothing else for it to manipulate down here now, so at this point this is just going to continue to run. The only thing left now is the 10 a.m. open high low close, or however it's going to play out, but might tag a gap up here, but I would expect by 10 a.m. this move is done and we just get chop after that, because we've already extended ourselves now to the downside. And this, if you were, when did I say that? Stream on Tuesday, yesterday I believe, or I said it in the premium Discord in the daily outlook. This is what I was kind of looking for to happen, either Monday or Tuesday, that we would come down, sweep out the lows, respect the daily gap over here in NQ, and then fly down to the weekly gap down here in YM, and that's the move we're getting. So from this, for FOMC, I would expect us to move away from that and put in some sort of like daily cycle SMT or 90-minute SMT and move away from there. Potentially tomorrow we could manipulate the low again, but depending on how far away we move, will be the judgment call. how that's going to work out. Originally looking at NQ SMT at the lows at 415. It didn't work out. SMT at the lows at 415. Right here. Yeah. Right? Yeah. This cycle here. Yeah. To try and long it. Yeah, this didn't work out because one, right? Why did this move right here happen? Because we hit the 2 to 2.5 standard deviations over here for this 90-minute cycle period, right? So that's the area that was just retracement. You can see we're just sitting just above it. Retracement, right? And then eventually we move back down. Not only that, but we also have our daily sequential SMT. So that's a higher time frame. Right here. And right here. So that's the higher time frame sequential SMT. So once this high gets taken, the expectation is that we would at least trade to this low. That's your low-hanging fruit, right? So one of the assets take that low, then you could look for a long, but overall, since this was created in a premium of this range, right? So if we go back out to our, let me fix this real quick. If we go back out to our 6-hour chart, you'll see this gap here. And there's my little line I made there. So there's our gap. Our sequential SMT was created here. Not only that, if you back out to the 1 hour, was it 1 hour or 4 hour? 4 hour has a regular SMT inside of a gap. Here's a 30-minute. Thought for sure somewhere in here I saw a PSP as well, but my eyes aren't seeing it right now, but it's still early for me. I was up really late last night till like 3 or 4 in the morning, so apologize if I'm talking a little slow too. I haven't had enough coffee yet. But yeah, that didn't work out, okay, because you have the higher time frame sequential SMT from the daily cycle playing out, and you just hit a retracement area for the lower time frame cycle. So that basically is like engineering a low to then come back and take out later. Oh, so you were using the daily cycle, yeah. Yeah, it probably did actually confirm a daily cycle, but same thing, same principle. I tend not to trust those. Yeah, so it did create a daily cycle there, closure there. It's 36-point closure. That's pretty good, actually. But yeah, it was just retracement. So if you look at your lower time frame cycle, it's just retracement. But two, if you look at your bias overall in your daily chart, yesterday's candle. Let me get rid of some of this stuff here so we can see. Yesterday's candle, right? Tuesday in comparison to Monday, closed bearish. So the expectation is this candle, right, can come up to around this wick where it ends to close off any gap or inefficiencies that the market is trying to create. Once it does that, this is the area you would look for shorts if you're continuing. If you create a gap, that's even higher probability that you're going to short, right? But because this closed bearish continuation, right, the expectation for today, you're looking for shorts. That's further supported by this, right, taking out the high over here, failing to do so on NQ. So you have a sequential SMT, close back in the range. Expectation is continuation for shorts to where? Previous week low. That's the move we're getting. So I wouldn't try to long a retracement. I'd much rather wait for it to do its thing and then catch a continuation lower, which is what you have here happening right now. Hopefully that makes sense, but it takes a little bit more time to recognize which cycle is going to be playing out. Now if you were on like a microcycle, maybe that would have worked. You could trade that retracement, but to me those are just higher risk, more likely to fail. Just takes a lot more experience to catch them. Johnny asks, do you give these alerts in your premium? Yes, I do. I also live stream in my premium Discord. I've got a 7-day free trial, but right now my Discord is messed up, so I'm waiting on support to get with me. So we'll see how that plays out. So for now, we're just going to stream on YouTube for free for everybody. So I don't know if you do trade London, but how would you approach it for indices with sequential SMTs? Yeah, so I just happened to be up for London last night. Oh, and one more thing too. The previous day candle closed bearish, closed bullish here. So that's also a daily PSP, right? So a nice little extra piece there, confirming that we would be short here. Because we have a draw down here. We're about to smack it now, so I'm going to go ahead and grab another partial down here. Well, now it's moving back up as I try to do that. But one more there. There we go. We should smack that here any second. Where's the weekly gap here? So that played out to near perfection. I would have preferred if we had a 90-minute cycle here or here on NQ, but we don't always get what we want, do we? And there we go. And I'm out full there. Nice tag there, draws hit. And yeah, PSP stands for Precision Swing Point. Thanks, Alex. AJ. Weekly gap's been your target all week. Me too. And thank goodness we hit it. We probably dig into it quite a bit deeper here. So taking off all my runners right there was probably a bad idea, but I've been burned so many times holding for the draw really far. But that right there for me was 9R, so I'll take that. But yeah, so back to somebody's question up here. Trading London. I don't typically trade London. I'm asleep. So I'm in the US. So I'm asleep during the London session, but London session has been pretty clean. What I watch for in London session is a daily cycle, just like we saw today, in line with my bias. So London provides the manipulation. As soon as London creates that TCISD, you can continue to trade from there. Just take a trade just like I did here, right? And then just hold that trade to the New York AM and see if the New York AM is going to continue. You're likely break even by New York AM, because AM is either going to continue or reverse, right? So like today we saw continuation. Why? Because London set in the high. Let me get on the 15-minute chart, you see this better. London set in the high over here, manipulated here. There we go. Your sequential SMT was at the defining range right here, right? So here's the defining range for quarter one, which would be the Asia cycle. It's the last 2/3 of the quarter you're looking at. We had a manipulation, so this is a Chronos Precision Protocol entry and model. sequential SMT, manipulating the defining range in line with the bias, which was already short. We tagged into a higher time frame key level, that 6-hour gap, and we short. This is your weaker asset, so I'm shorting this one. Now when I got on, of course, the high of the current period was here, but I'm not trusting that high because I know the protected high would be Asia. So I'm going to go ahead and put my stop not here for 10 points, right? That doesn't make sense. I'm going to put my stop up here overnight. Run a 38-point stop on YM, which is plenty big, and watch it drop for 340 something points and catch 9R. So that's how I trade London session if I was awake. Just wait for it to manipulate the Asia session. Unless Asia session manipulates Q4 from the PM from the day before and sets in the high, and you're continuing to move away, entering a fair value gap from there and getting a 90-minute sequential SMT continuation. Targeting previous day low on NQ, yeah. I think honestly we probably should hit this low, but it's kind of stalling out right now. But that is a huge drop right there. That's a beautiful trade. Did you ever consider the SMT from New York PM to Asia, like the most recent one? Yeah. Like here? Yeah. Just unfortunately, when that ran the high, right, it was this candle. Let me just zoom in so you can see. It was this candle, right, that took the high. So this is the candle that created the sequential SMT. So your actual TCISD would be here, right? But we never got a confirmation of that, right? On YM, we continued to hold above it. That's why Sniper last night took a long right in here, right? When we came down, swept out that low and pushed away, created the inverse, he longed this right here back up to the highs for like 40 points or so. Why did he do that? Because we failed to manipulate here. So we're not confirming this TCISD until London anyways, but I could have got in at a better entry up here. So if it doesn't confirm, I don't take it. Just wait till the next cycle, which would be in London. Yeah, I thought NQ would follow through. Yeah, so now, yeah, so this is what I was talking about earlier, right? So now we're almost at 10 a.m. We've hit the draw, right? This was the draw all along, this weekly gap. So now, what's price most likely to do? Just chop around right here. That's why I also got out, just went ahead and got out right here. We can dig deeper, great, but we also might not. We might just chop around. So I'm just going to go ahead and take my profit, walk away with my win. I already got 9R, how much more do you need? Most people don't even get that in a month. I got it in one trade. So you don't need a lot. You could just do 2R with this system, right? Could have been out a long time ago, put on heavier risk and been done. But yeah, thanks Trader Peter. Yeah, everybody hit the like, the stream. That way the algorithm throws my name out there to more people. Appreciate it. Missed the entry in 15 minutes in YM because you were sleeping. How could you enter that one later? Good question. So what I would be watching for, right? So if you have a daily cycle SMT set in London, then automatically when it comes to the New York AM session, here's what I look for. I look at where's price, right? When we come into the New York AM session, price is right here, right? At 9 a.m. That's the quarter I trade mostly. So price is here, right? And price is here. So I'm looking at what makes more sense. I already know we're bearish based on the previous day candle closure. So would it make sense that price comes up 70 points and manipulates London high? Or does it make sense that price comes up 84 points on YM to manipulate the high? Or is it more likely, if I drop down to my 90-minute cycle, is it more likely that price would, right at 9 a.m., jump up 16 points, create a 90-minute cycle, and then turn bearish from there? That makes much more sense, right, than running all the way up there. And some days it's like 100, 150 points on NASDAQ, right, because that's how far you've dropped in London. Then I also look at, do I have fair value gaps here set in from London? If I look at my hourly chart, it's not really clean price delivery last night. 30-minute, yeah, not really. But typically you'll have a nice 1 hour fair value gap displacing down after that sequential SMT on the daily cycle. So shows you you're probably likely going to hit that PD array and then continue. So I'm looking myself for a 90-minute cycle to occur, and that's how I'm going to catch a continuation. If I miss this entry in London because I'm asleep, right, then I'm looking for the 90-minute continuation right here. We just didn't get that today. Market makers said no. If you weren't already in at London, we're running you right straight down. So but that can happen, and that's okay, because tomorrow same thing's going to happen, right? Get a 90-minute. We did get a 90-minute hidden here, but like I said, I don't really trust those. I'd rather it create the sequential SMT and then run lower. But if I don't get that 90-minute, then I wouldn't take the trade. I'd just let it run, because tomorrow I know it's going to provide another one. I don't have to worry about it. I get plenty of trades. Just running through the chat here, make sure I didn't miss anybody's question. Okay. Oh, Jack, I hope you're still not in this. That is ugly. And again, so this is called decoupling, right? So here we synced up, right? We have the same price action on NQ as we do on YM. But while YM is still remaining bearish, we're seeing this nice move up on NQ. So that's known as decoupling. That is in itself a form of manipulation. But it also makes your trades kind of very choppy like this. So just watch out for that. You are still in it? Oh man. Is your stop up here? The equal highs? I hope not. I hate the delay on YouTube. We'll see what he says here in a minute, but yeah, hold a bit before dying. Yeah, it has a lot of sniper characteristics. Yeah, yeah, Sniper's been trading QT for a long time. He knows Trader Day personally. I learned through Sniper. I'm in his premium Discord. One of his instructors as well. Trying to branch out on my own, of course, but yeah, definitely this model really dials in the forever model. That's why now you're seeing Sniper use it a lot as well. Once I showcased my model and how good it's been, he's adapted his model as well, so you're seeing a lot of the same. And the indicator I'm using, he's using as well. It's this one, this indicator. He just has the cycle boxes turned on. He's got them different colors, but shows whether it's accumulation, manipulation, or distribution. Labels it out for you. I don't really need that, but he does it for the visual for everybody to see. Yeah, it just doesn't publicize it, yeah. And his model really made me dive deep into time was from his model workshop video where he said the candle that creates SMT and then price closes over, the opening price of that is your order block, right? That got me thinking, well, how can I apply that and make that more precise? And started learning more about quarterly theory after that, and now here I am with this model. What I've added to it is the defining range, the standard deviations from that, and creating a model based on Q1 manipulating. So why do I want Q1 to be manipulated and this defining range? Because then that creates your accumulation. Let me make that gray. And then if we were to get a manipulation of that, right, this would be your manipulation. And then you would see after that a distribution, right? I can turn that green. So it basically creates your classic AMD. So why do I want this to be manipulated right in here within this range? It gives me a mechanical area to watch for manipulation and a clear invalidation to no longer watch for manipulation. Keeps me out of a losing trade that's lower probability. And it's your classic AMD. That's how I created this model. And as you can see, very precise. So if you look at the daily cycle, that's exactly what we got. Here's your accumulation. This cycle here was your manipulation. Right? So this is the cycle that manipulated over here. And then after that, what do you have? A very large distribution. So you have a M D. Simple. Easy to spot. That's how you spot AMD. So all I did is I was trading the forever model for a long time, Johnny, and for me it worked a lot of the time, but a lot of times it didn't work because I didn't know which fair value gap to use. Or I would use, like, you know, drop down too low of a time frame and then start looking for an entry way too low, and then I'd get stopped out, right? But adding this quarterly theory into it just made it super clear. And now I know I'm waiting for this quarter to manipulate because this one failed to do it. Right? Failed to confirm here. So now I know I'm waiting for this to manipulate, which it did. As soon as it does and we get that closure below, put my stop at the high and I'm shorting. My low-hanging fruit for a daily cycle is previous day low, previous day high, depending on which direction you're trading. That got hit, we retrace a little bit, and then we continue to the final draw, which is the weekly low down here. Why the weekly low? Same thing. Back out to the higher time frame. What do we have here? Why is it not popping up? Sometimes this thing wants to move slow. There we go. Weekly cycle. Same principle, right? accumulation, manipulation, today, distribution. Same thing, right? I just fractalized it and got in right here. And what are C2 closures? Kronos can speak about it. Yeah, so let me make sure, hold on, I missed a few things here. I don't really understand how bias is framed. I've always get the opposite side. Okay, so let me go over that and why. As long as AMD happens on this, for example, in Q, that manipulation is also valid on YM since it's not there. Yes, because you have the sequential SMT, right? So we have sequential SMT here as well, right? So this is your accumulation. Your manipulation happened in this quarter, right? On Tuesday. There's your high put in. Manipulation over here. When we short, there's your distribution. And yeah, C2 closure, it's like T trades. It's basically a swing point, how a swing point forms. So if we look at the daily chart, let me just clear some of this stuff out so we don't have stuff randomly everywhere. So if we look at this, for example, this would be candle 1. This is our swing point formation. So this is candle 2. What did candle 2 do? Swept the previous candle high, closed back in the range. What's the expectation for the third? Continuation. Same over here. What did this candle do? Swept the high, closed back in the range. Get rid of this. Don't need that anymore. So this is candle 2. So your higher probability trade is going to be in candle 3. That's the trade I took today. That's the short. Candle 1. Candle 2 is a C2 closure. Closes back within the range. So this would be a bearish reversal. C3 opens, puts in a little high, low, close. Distributes. C3. So how do I get my bias? I look at how did this day react to this day to give me a bias for this day. Right? So I only look at this much information. So when I'm jumping on the chart, that's all I look at right there. These two candles. What did this candle do to this candle? So that I know what this candle that's about to open up is going to do. So it's just a simple mechanical way to get your bias. Add in a sequential SMT to that here. Closure styles, right? So C2 closure. That's all I need. If you want to look at it from IRL to ERL, it's the same thing, right? Taking out ERL over here, right? ERL's been taken out up here. Or we're returning to IRL. Same difference. Got it from a weekly perspective, however you want to do it. Put in a high, coming back to internal, back to external later. But I just find that the daily candle closures just give me a little bit more refined. But yeah, basically the bias for the current day would be determined by how the previous two candles behaved. And then your invalidation would be, and your low-hanging fruit for a target would just be previous day low, right? So this would be, once I pass that, now I'm potentially looking for price potentially to trade the opposite way, right? Because now we took previous day low, we're at a discount. It just happens to be that we have this higher time frame draw right down here, the weekly gap, and that's where it's pushing towards. But now that we've taken that, we're seeing a push away from that. But likely we're just going to chop until FOMC, and then we're just going to rip higher. But we'll see what happens. Yeah, it's too much for you to type, Jack. Yeah, for sure. Okay. But the candle closure types and stuff, I do mention a little bit about that in my precision protocol video. You can find that in the playlist here on the YouTube. So check that out. It'll help out a little bit. But I'll do another video on candle closures. But T-Trades does a nice video on it too. You can check his out. But I'll try to get a video on it going soon. Manipulation has to go always to 0.5 or above. Higher probability if it's within 0 to 0.5. So a nice tight range. Let me see. So higher probability, right, if it's tighter. So here's the 0 mark right here. But I would like to see manipulation here, preferably within 0 to 0.5, but you can see manipulation all the way to 1.5. Past that, I'm done looking for manipulation, because likely it's just going to continue or be lower probability. I don't need to trade that. I'll just wait for something else. Higher probability if it's within this range, still acceptable if it's up to here. 0 to 0.5, 0 to 1.5 maximum. Do you recommend one start with forever model as a prerequisite before diving deep into KPP? No. You can just use my model. It's just simple. It's mechanical. You just know what you're going to be trading for the day. And it's clear in validation, you know. Because if you just use straight forever model, I mean, I used forever model for a long time. Became profitable with it. It's a great model. It just, I feel like, takes a little bit more narrative building skills to go along with it. And my model incorporates that in with it. So you don't need that. You can just simply trade the model. But forever model, like for example, here, right? We entered a higher time frame gap here, right? This was an order block. But we ran up the high again. Why? You know, your forever model doesn't teach you why that was. But if we look at this, we probably will find a lower time frame cycle right in there. Most likely. Maybe not, but it's not a 90-minute. Why is this not showing up today? No, that's cycle. Drop down to micro. Not one there either. Probably a nano. I don't have the seconds chart on here to see, but it's probably a nano right there. But I know what I'm waiting for here is a clear closure below this candle. Not this candle that re-ran a high, this candle. And you'll see a lot of times this will just maybe run up, and stop out multiple times, but this just makes it clear it's got to be this candle. As soon as we get that closure, comes in, tags it here, and just rips down lower. So assume that today's candle closes at the current price. How would you frame bias for tomorrow? That's a good question. Let's see what we're at. So if this closed bearish, right? If you look at NQ, NQ has a lot of strength, especially if this flipped to bullish and this was still bearish but closed continuation. I would expect YM to rerun the low, create a weekly cycle. As soon as that does that, I'm longing after confirmation. Target all-time highs. If we closed like this today, because we have a weekly sequential SMT here. Oh, we're still in replay mode. Hold on. Scratch that. Where are we at right now? Okay. So we get the bullish close here. So if it closed just like this, right, that's a PSP, right? Because we created a swing point here. So it'd be a precision candle technically, because there's not creating a swing point. But it's bullish close, bearish close. We've got a weekly cycle. As soon as we get closure above this candle here, long that the next day, right? Expecting this low to hold. Likely, since this one took the low, this one gets souped out, right? Retakes the low and then continues higher. Or we create a daily cycle right in here somewhere. And then we'll trade that higher. It says it tagged IRL, but no signs of returning back to range. Yeah. No, you've got the sequential SMT, and it's two-stage as well. So ideally, I would like this low to hold for FOMC, but we'll see what we get. It still has room to run lower before it invalidates that. If it does, then I'll wait for the same thing to happen tomorrow. One of them runs low, the other doesn't, and then we trade higher. But yeah, we tagged to IRL. Now the expectation is we tag ERL. But we just barely tagged it, so it makes sense tomorrow that we see this low run out and we dig a little deeper. Then we go. But we'll have to see what FOMC does first. But yeah, we have, for example, 90-minute sequential SMT with dashed line and normal line. What's the difference? Okay, so on the indicator here, the solid line is a regular sequential SMT. This dashed line, if you're referring to that, is a hidden. See, it says HD there. Hidden sequential SMT. That means the body closed below the lowest low of yesterday, which was here. Whereas on NQ, your lowest low yesterday was here. And you've yet to close below this. So you have a hidden, weekly regular sequential SMT. But again, I don't really use these. I just used them if there was no sequential SMT, but we did still hold the level. Then I'll take a continuation cycle. I won't actually trade this. But yeah, definitely, that's my expectation going into FOMC. Be nice if we can hold a gap here, trade down lower, run into this gap a little bit more, but we may not. See if FOMC puts in our low here and pushes off. Or if we just get a tweet randomly here in the middle of the morning and just rip higher. And FOMC just keeps us running, but we'll have to see. Alright, but I think I'm going to call the stream there. Appreciate you guys tuning in. Hopefully in the future we can do some more of these here on YouTube for everybody as well. This should be recording as well, so I'll try to post that here later on and get that added in, so you can rewatch it if you want. But yeah, NQ's just chopping around, so yeah, it's good closure, man. Just go ahead and take it off. Wait for after FOMC, see what we get. And FOMC is a two-stage event, so wait till after the press conference and trade, or just wait till Thursday and trade. So, all right, yeah, you're welcome, guys. So, see y'all on for the next one, and definitely I'll be dropping some more videos hopefully later on this week. Definitely for the price review, for the weekly review. So, break down price and see what we had for this week and where trades were and all. But other than that, planning on some other videos on some concepts. We'll do the daily closures, how swing points form. We'll do a video on PSPs as well. So a lot of stuff coming, hopefully here soon. But anyways, appreciate you guys tuning in. Definitely like the stream. Share the channel with those that you know. Subscribe, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.